Hello Laziali all over the world, welcome to another episode of Lazio Lounge. Just give me a second, I'm gonna call my friend and colleague Alasdair Mackenzie. Let me check. Oh, look who we have here today. Hey Alasdair,
Hi
welcome.
Vittorio, what are you doing here?
Well, I decided to move back to Rome, so now we can do our podcast here in flesh. In this,
One-on-one.
yeah, and this
Social distance.
absolutely well,
Kind of.
yep. In this, in Rome, finally ready to another great season for Lazio. Well, we're gonna talk about if it's gonna be a great season for Lazio because, let's be honest, the transfer market hasn't been astonishing for Lazio. We were hoping something different because, with the money of the Champions League, we were hoping that finally Lazio could sign some top players. We were close, David Silva. We're gonna talk about that. But
Yeah.
overall, Alasdair, let's start talking about this transfer market. So Murici should be close,
Yeah.
Fares should be close. Is that enough for Lazio? What's your first thought about the transfer market?
Well, yeah, I mean, Muriqi and Faris to begin with, I'm already a bit nervous because today we're recording this on Monday and today he's having his medical. They're posting all the pictures of him, they're saying welcome to him and so on. But now that the David Silva thing has happened, I'm just never going to be 100% confident until we see them, contract in hand and everything else. But yeah, they do look like they'll be done. Also, it was nice to have Escalante in so early because he's been able to actually take part in Alonso, take part in the friendly games. And we've heard Inzaghi in the past talk about how important that is to be able to have time with new signings before he actually starts the season. He's not going to get that this year. The question of whether that's enough, probably not, because if we look at how much we struggled the end of last season and while we were in the Europa League, the one thing we realised was we didn't really have enough quality and depth to play in multiple competitions or play 2 games a week. And we've not really added to that too much. I think Muriqi is a good addition because we finally have another striker.
We said it so much in the last 3 years. I think we talk about a Vice Immobile,
Yeah.
and finally, well, we have to wait the signing, but finally we have a Vice Immobile. We're gonna talk about friendlies, guys, and we're gonna have to start talk about David Silva because last podcast we did was quite a while ago. It looked like David Silva was close to Lazio, and then something terrible happened, right? I'm not sure, Alistair. I thought David Silva was a great player, would have been a great signing, but choosing not Lazio, that was a team fighting for the Champions League, I think mentally he was done. So probably it's better on that side that he didn't sign for Lazio.
Well, yeah, I mean, there are a few things around this. I mean, since it happened, I've been trying to kind of find a positive angle to it. And one of them that a few people I did see raised was kind of like, we are working within certain financial limitations already. So is it the most sensible thing to do to make your highest paid player a player who plays in a position that we kind of already have covered, maybe not in depth, but adding a starter to that position, and he's, later on in his career. So you could say that. Then again, I did say at the time, and I still believe he would have been brilliant for Lazio, so I don't really believe in that so much. It's hard to take, and it was obviously something the club felt very bitter about with their response to it. I don't know how you felt about the way they handled it. Very public. Was it Tari said we like him as a player but not as a man?
No.
So yeah, they didn't appreciate that behaviour. I don't think the fans appreciated that behaviour. But one thing I would say is at least it happened as early as it did. It would be better it happening then than now. So we've been able to move past it.
Yeah, I think it would have been a good signing because we don't have a real replacement for Luis Alberto, and he has Champions League experience, obviously playing with Manchester City. So that would have been good. But picking a lower team, yes, you go back to Spain, but you're really not fighting for nothing anymore. So I think Lazio need to buy someone there. I don't think it's gonna happen.
Franco Vasquez?
I don't believe it, honestly.
No?
I don't believe it. But yeah, that could be a weakness. Talking about friendly match, I was impressed by Escalante. We knew he was coming. He signed in January. We thought it was, a typical sub for Leva, very defended mind midfielder. Instead, he touched. It's true that he didn't play against Real Madrid, but still he touched a lot of balls. He was quite impressive when he played, so that's very encouraging for me at least.
Yeah, I think he's shown the capability to be able to play as a Metzela as well as a Lucas backup, I suppose, and that's exactly what we need, that kind of versatility. So yeah, I mean, and obviously the fact he was a free transfer and that he was able to come in as early as he did massively helped. The other thing about the friendlies that was quite interesting in terms of what our midfield options might look like next season is the fact that Johnny's been used as a Metzela now.
Yep.
Now, does that mean for you that they've given up on the idea of him playing as a wing back and decided he's not good enough and that they might sell him? Or does it mean that they actually believe that he can be reborn, in the way Luis Alberto was, in a new position?
Well, the thing is, as I said before, we don't have a replacement for Luis Alberto, and Johnny can be the best option we have in that team. He has the quality. We knew he's very good in cross assists and things like that. So that could be the best position for him. Crossing finger, this means that Lukaku is back, full form. And so if you have, Lukaku, Fares, who knows if Lulic come back, etc. We have enough players on that side. We're gonna talk about King as well. I don't know if he played left wing all this summer, so I think if a good offer arrives, which I don't believe it will happen, Johnny could leave. But I think moving on that position could be a best solution for him. He's not fit for the being on the left side in a five-man midfield, so that could be a good solution for him and for Lazio, because as I said, no one's coming there, and Johnny could be the emergency solution, I think.
Yeah. I mean, we've also got this problem now that if Johnny is considered a left wing back, we've got Johnny, Lukaku, Lulic, Dermisi, Javan Anderson, Keane, and now Fares. So I might be forgetting someone, but that's for me 7 left wing backs.
Well, I don't think Turmisi is part of the plan anymore.
Well, yeah, obviously, but on the books at least.
Yeah.
And it's been a problem position. And with Lulic being out for as long as he has and being at the age he is, there's been a lot of questions raised about what player he will be when he comes back and
when he'll come back.
Yeah, when he'll come back. Yeah. So Fares, I think, if and when he comes in, we're kind of relying on him to hit the ground running.
Yeah, and I think, and we saw it with Lazzari, right? If Lazio starts signing players that come from Serie A, it's much better for us. He already knew the league. He already played, and I thought 2 years ago, people forget, but 2 years ago, Spal was the surprise of Serie A. And this is thanks to Lazzari on one side and Fares on the other. So I like this type of players. They're not the players that, you get the first page of Corriere Sport, Fares to Lazio, etc. But it's the pitch that talks, and I think that could be a very good signing. And again, and we saw it right with Vavro, for example. Vavro could be a very good defender, but have to get used to Serie A. Fares is ready to go.
Yeah.
Obviously, he hasn't got any Champions League experience, but I think he's a good signing. And again, another big difference. He played the last 4 years in a 3-5-2, so he knows the scheme very, very well. So that's a huge advantage.
Knows Lazzari very well.
Knows Lazzari very well. So yeah, I think it's perfect signing. Obviously, I would have preferred Gusens, but don't think Lazio will never pay 25 million or something like that for a player.
I wonder as well if it's a signal maybe of Lazio, with these 2 signings, him and Muriqi, if it's a signal of Lazio playing even more direct next season, because I think Inzaghi's wanted a kind of traditional target man striker, big guy to aim crosses at, because we've got someone who's, although maybe Lazzari's crossing hasn't been as good as we expected, but he is generally regarded as being one of his best attributes is his crossing. So maybe if we've got the players in midfield and on the wings who can put dangerous balls in the box, we finally now have Muriqi, who's a huge guy, almost 2 meters tall, very good in the air, good at holding the ball up. If we have someone like that to build off, it not only gives the wingers something to aim crosses at, but it gives Immobile a player to work off as well and open up space for him even more, which we know is when he becomes dangerous. And I think that actually I'm still not totally convinced because I don't know enough about Muriqi, so I'm not convinced whether he's going to be Serie A material or not. But what we can say is that he does offer a completely different dimension now because we have Immobile, who's all about his movement around the penalty box. We've got Correa, a kind of converted winger who's excellent dribbling ability, also very electric, very quick, very sharp. And then having Muriqi in there, having Caicedo maybe as well. It's a kind of quite an eclectic mixture of options.
I think one of the most important thing is that Lazio now has a plan A, that it's Immobile, and then a plan B now with the wingers going till the end and putting the ball in the box. And now we don't have only Milinkovic Savic, we have a tall striker who's good with a header. So I think.
And Faris is also pretty good in
there. Yeah. So we have different options compared to the past where we had plan A. Luis Alberto has to invent and give the ball to Ciro Immobile who scores. If Lazio struggle when the other team were defending, with 10 men, put the bus in front of the goal. Now we have another option. So, I think it's going to be more complicated for the other team to prepare a match against Lazio, even because everybody knows Lazio is playing 3-5-2. It's not a big surprise. So they can prepare. But now they will struggle to know, will it play Caicedo? Will it play Correa? Will it be Muriqi near to Ciro Immobile? That's another option. Ciro Immobile is very fast. He likes to move around. If you put a striker like Muriqi close to him that can grab the ball, high ball, and make it provide assist to Ciro Immobile, that could be, another plan, another option for Lazio to score. So, and especially in the Champions League night where you play physical teams, having those type of players could be a huge advantage.
Yeah, and also off the bench as well, just changing the game, a new dimension. I mean, yeah, the one thing that I guess is the problem with that is that because it does represent a change in the way the Lazio play, or at least a new version of the way they play, they don't have any time to work with this. I mean, we are speaking the week before Serie A begins. At least we don't have a fixture the first weekend. But then after that, we've got Cagliari, Atalanta and Inter in the course of 1 week, which is a very tough start. So there's not really much time for these guys to ease themselves in. This is going to be one of for me the big challenges of this season. And it's going to be a very strange season anyway because we've got no fans in the stadium still. We don't know how this virus is going to spread and what's going to happen later on in the winter. There's all sorts of uncertainties, and obviously it's being compressed into a shorter time frame than usual as well. So yeah, I think it's going to be very difficult, and we really rely on the guys who are coming in to adapt very fast.
There's another thing. Last podcast, it looks like Caicedo was out, right? Was going to Dubai probably, getting a huge contract. Now things have changed. It looks like Caicedo will stay in Rome. I thought he had a very good season last year. How do you see it this year? Do you think he's still going to be a valuable player? Do you think he's going to have a huge impact, or do you believe it was the right time to let him go?
I feel like the options in that position were so slim that the only reason to let him go is if you are bringing in replacements of a higher quality. So in my opinion, if Lazio still are looking to get one more striker in before the end of the window, they can afford to let Caicedo go. If they're not, then they can't, because we need 4 options. I mean, you basically want at least 2 players to cover each position, right? And if we're playing a 3-5-2, that means we need 4 strikers, which we've now got. I would expect now that all Muriqi's coming in and all this money's being spent on him, that Caicedo will struggle to have as much time as he did last year. But then again, he showed his value as a substitute. The scoring late goals. Caicedo time at the end of the game. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. I would expect him to play a more minimal role, and I'm not convinced he's Champions League quality, but he might be useful in these Serie A games between Champions League weeks, or when we need to rotate the team a bit.
Well, the thing
he always gives everything as well.
Yeah, but the thing is, and this brings me a little bit to our prediction. This year is going to be completely different, because with Europe League you could rotate and give a chance to players who usually doesn't play that much. We saw it last year in Europa League and didn't work out. In Champions League, I still think you have to rotate because otherwise your team will arrive in February and they will be done. But you have to have quality players. So I think Immobile and Correa could play Wednesday in the Champions League, and then Murici and Caicedo could play on Sunday. I think this is what's going to happen, and this is why you need a bigger team this year. And I'm a little bit concerned because we finally find a replacement for Ciro Immobile, but I feel on the midfield, I'm not convinced we have enough. I love Parolo, but he's not anymore that quality player. He's a fighter. I think Cataldi at the moment is better, but I think we're gonna struggle because we don't have enough replacement in the midfield. We are fine in attack. Defense we have to see because Bastos probably is leaving. I think we have to sign someone there. I know how you feel, but yeah, going back to the prediction, I think if we don't sign someone there, Lazio will struggle to finish in the top four.
Yeah, sadly, I do actually agree with you. I mean, I've not yet put out my predictions for this season, but I was thinking I probably won't put.
Okay.
I think managed to spill water.
Yep.
Still seems to be recording, so okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was leaning towards not putting Lazio in the top four, which is very sad. But I mean, at the same time, I just think, yeah, you need that quality and depth, but you also need that experience of being able to handle that situation. And Lazio have done that in the Europa League over a number of years, but then to actually be able to qualify for the Champions League last year, finally, they required basically getting out of the Europa League as soon as possible. And we would have done it a lot more comfortably if it wasn't for the break, obviously.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just don't think the squad's really been upgraded enough. And also, I am a little concerned. I don't want to sound too negative, but I'm a little concerned that the negative ending to last season has dragged into the start of this one a little bit, just because the break was so short, and we've already seen him, granted only a few friendly matches, but they've not exactly been impressive, have they? Serie C, Serie D opposition, and really struggling in a lot of those games.
Yeah, we saw Escalante, that was the positive surprise, but apart from that, Lazio didn't play that well. To be honest, in the last match against Frosinone, we saw some improvement, and yeah, Lazio won 1-0, but Frosinone goalkeeper was amazing, and Lazio had so many chances, etc. But I didn't see the same Lazio we saw last year, even in the friendly matches. It's true Milinkovic Savic didn't play, Luis Alberto is a little bit injured and so on, but I don't see the same team of the positive moment of last year, and this is concerning. It's true, Champions League is going to start the 21st of October, something like that, so we still have time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, last year was, let's be honest, it was something special. Lazio start winning match and build confidence. It's not granted that this year will start from that same confidence. So I was hoping, honestly, to sign some big players that boost the confidence of the team and of the fans. It looks like it's not going to happen. So friendly match this year, yes, we didn't play great team. Still, we didn't play great football. So it's completely different. But I'm a little bit concerned, to be honest.
I think you're right to point out the confidence, because I think this team really relies on confidence, and a big part of that for me, it sounds a bit cheesy, but is the crowd. I think it's not a coincidence that they played so well with a crowd and without a crowd. Also, the crowd last season was far better than I've seen it in years before. Not just attendances, but atmosphere and getting these big results in big games and so on. And that really helped that momentum carry on and so on. So they're going to have to start cold without any of that help. And yeah, I mean, if we're looking at the circumstances being similar to how it was at the end of last season, it's obviously something we didn't manage to cope with too well, although we will at least not have quite as many games in a row, although we are at the start of the season, I suppose.
But let's not forget that Lazio won't play the first week, and then we'll recover. In 7 days we're going to have 3 matches with Atalanta and Inter.
Yeah.
So it's not an easy start. Yes, you got a week to prepare, but then you're gonna have 3 matches in 7 days. I'm not sure this is better for Lazio. I would have preferred, starting and having 1 match per week.
So if you're not feeling confident about Lazio finishing top four this year, then who do you think is? I mean, looking at the league as a whole, what's changed for you in terms of other teams improving or?
Well, the thing is, I believe Inter and Juventus will fight for the Scudetto. I think Juventus is a better team, but I Pirlo doesn't convince me for the moment, and so Inter I think could get that level. And then you have a team like Milan, who did decent transfer market and hasn't got the Champions League. That's for me, it's a big advantage. Um I don't know if Atalanta will replicate, but we say it every summer, right? Every summer we say Atalanta will not do it again, and every time they're back.
I've learned my lesson.
Yeah, so I think Lazio could fight with Milan, Roma, Atalanta. Those are the teams that will fight for the third, fourth position, and only Atalanta has the Champions League. So I think that's a big advantage for Milan, Roma, and Fiorentina could be a good surprise. They bought some good good players. So Napoli, obviously, let's not forget Napoli.
And Sassuolo were looking very good end of last season. I mean, I think as well, one thing to point out is that one of the reasons I think we both felt quite confident before last season because Lazio had that continuity. They had kept the same team together, and they had Inzaghi in charge and the rest of it. And all these other teams were undergoing big changes. This season, that's not the case. This season, Juventus obviously are, but beyond that, Pioli has been given faith by Milan. Gattuso at Napoli, they've both got their first full seasons now. Coaches like Fonseca and Conte are having their second full season in charge, and I think that does make a difference. I think we saw that made a difference last season. Obviously, we've still got more continuity in those teams because Inzaghi's been there for so long, but I think it will mean that it's going to be slightly more challenging, and there won't be quite as many disasters from the big clubs to win with.
The only thing can change things is that the fact that, for example, Napoli, who had a big transfer market, I would say, I think they will be forced to sell one or two quality players because missing the Champions League will mean that they won't be able to pay those big salary this year. So they have till the end of the 21st of October to sell players. And if you take away Koulibaly from Napoli, well, then it's a different team, I think. They already sold Alan, who, to be honest, wasn't playing pretty much last year. But still, you have a good replacement coming in. So, can we expect Napoli to fail again like last year? This is the biggest question mark. I don't think. So, I think it's going to be more complicated this year than last year. So that's why I was hoping for Lazio to sign, David Silva or someone else. But we have till the 21st of October. Let's not forget that Lazio is not forced to sell a quality player. They're going to try to sell finally, Wallace, Durmisi, and those type of players, which has been the weaknesses of this team, right?
Yeah.
Because every team failed in signing players, right? Inter bought Godin, huge salary, and it didn't turn out. But the other teams are quite good in getting rid of these players. Lazio struggling. We keep, who was it? Vargic for ages, and so Wallace, Durmisi, they are salary that are making a big difference on Lazio. So if Lazio is able to sell this player, that would be much better. Maybe we can get another good signing.
What would it take then? I mean, in order to make you feel more confident, like what kind of player needs to come in, or players plural? Like what do we need?
Well, to give me confidence, I would love to have a good defender because Rado had a terrific year, terrific, but he passed the 30. Acerbi is another player who passed 30. So, considering we were playing twice a week, I would love Kumbulla, but we need someone good there. And I don't know if Johnny experiment will work, then we're fine. But otherwise, a regista maybe. Obviously, I cannot expect someone with the same quality of Luis Alberto because I don't think there are any players available, and B, I don't think Lazio has the money to buy them. But someone who can play in that position would be an advantage because with Fares, I think on the left wing we are quite fine. With Murici, we're fine in front. Let's not forget we signed Reina, who, you know, uh, it looks like Strakosha is struggling a little bit because Reina played a lot of matches. I didn't expect that. So I don't know if Inzaghi is changing something there, but I think it's a good signing. Big experience in Champions League.
Yeah, yeah.
Could push Strakosha a little bit more than Proto did. So I'm fine on everything. I think we're really missing those two players that could, for me, make a huge difference, a huge impact for us.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think having a player like Radu as your backup is like a really good option. Having him as your starter in the Champions League is maybe not so much. Yeah, so I'm a bit disappointed that the defence hasn't been more of a priority. I mean, it's obviously been talked about a lot this season, but
Yep.
nobody's actually been brought in. Yeah, I agree. Reina could be a surprisingly good signing because we've finally got a number two who can push the number one. And Strakosha, I feel like he needs a bit of that. He needs a bit of encouragement, and also massive experience, Reina.
Yeah.
And he was a Premier League first choice keeper last season, so it's not like he's finished. So yeah, I think that can really help. And a squad with as little Champions League experience as this, having guys like Reina and Lucas in there to kind of guide the younger players and
Yeah.
so on might really help. So
Yeah, even because let's not forget that players like Parolo,
mhm.
who has massive experience, this is going to be his first year playing the Champions League. So,
Yeah.
Luis Alberto, I don't know how much he played the Champions League. Ciro Immobile as well has very little experience in Champions League, and not very positive, I would add.
Yeah.
So, everybody say you need Champions League experience. Let's not forget Atalanta didn't have any last year and went amazingly well. So, still you have to play great football, and that's where Inzaghi and the team comes in. But I think the biggest thing is last year you could make it with 12, 30 starters, quality starters. This year you have to reach 16, probably 17. With Reina you add one, with Fares you add one. I think still missing two or three to make it possible to have a good Champions League. Then obviously it's going to depend on the draw, because if you're unlucky you can sign whoever you want if you find Real Madrid, but Lazio is going to be in the third stage,
Yeah.
third level, so you still could get Real Madrid, Barcelona, and then
Yeah.
but I think with three more players, Lazio could have a good Champions League, a good Campionato, and maybe go further in the Coppa Italia. Still, more than 1 month. I don't think Tare is going to do a lot of signing. He's more trying to push players to leave, like Wallace, Durmise, etc. I was hoping for something more, to be honest.
Yeah. And what about, I mean, last summer we had the whole Stefan Radu controversy where it was all of a sudden very surprisingly seen that Radu was about to leave
Yep.
the club and had this big flare up with the hierarchy and so on. And now this summer, lo and behold, we moved across the defence to Francesco Acerbi.
Obviously, could we spend us? Well, the biggest news I think is this summer we didn't have this drama of Milinkovic Savic leaving.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That was a huge surprise, and this tells you how Lazio improved with Champions League. No more rumors of Milinkovic Savic leaving. The thing of Acerbi was quite surprising,
Yeah.
Alasdair, because his contract is expiring in 2023, I think. So
Yeah.
3 years time. Acerbi, as we said, he passed the 30. So in 3 years time, maybe he could be finished as a top defense level, and still he wants to sign a new contract now, asking more money, etc. And which you can understand. In football happens when you have a good season, you want to talk for. But the way he did, going on the national TV saying, I'm upset because the numbers that came out are completely false. If this is what Lazio want to do, then I don't want to talk about renewing the contract. From a player like that, who always behaved amazingly well, was really surprisingly. Then a couple of days later, he sort of tracked back,
Mm.
but I don't know. I was a little bit surprised.
Well, I think everyone was, because it was Acerbi.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's one of the main reasons it's caught everyone by surprise so much, is that the whole time he's been at the club, he's been a model professional, and
Absolutely.
he is one of these guys who manages to be kind of almost universally popular. Everyone likes Acerbi, and so it seemed very out of character for him. I mean, I know some people have flagged up the fact that the way he left Sassuolo wasn't necessarily
Yeah.
completely, you know,
But
professional,
but that was a difference. There was a huge difference, right? Lazio was his last chance to go to a big team. Now,
Mhm.
I know people won't say the same, but Lazio is a big team. Now Lazio is a big team. We know that Inter, Napoli have asked about Acerbi, but the big step is moving from Sassuolo to Lazio, moving from Lazio to Napoli or to Inter. It's not a big difference.
Yeah, and in the 2 years, like what you're saying is absolutely right. In the 2 years at the club, I think he's within his rights to ask for negotiations to begin, because he's seen success happen since he's arrived, in large part thanks to his efforts. He's also seen other key players like Alberto, like Immobile, win big new contracts and win bigger salaries. And so he is within his rights to ask to be, shown the same kind of recognition as those guys. But absolutely, you don't go in a post-match interview while you're on international duty with Italy and raise your concerns there. That was obviously the thing that was very annoying about it. Probably the second most annoying thing about it was the inevitable outcry that followed it, that with he's leaving the club and Inter are going to come in and sign him, and I never really bought into any of that. So it does look like, thankfully now, they're going to reach an agreement to actually get him a new deal, get an extension, and move on, because we don't need this.
No.
Going into a new season, especially from one of the guys you're looking to be one of the leaders in this team.
Yeah, Acerbi always have been one of the leader, and one of the biggest thing that Acerbi did is be really the leader of this defense. He took the place of De Vrij, who I think is a very good defender but not a leader. And I think Acerbi improved the defense because he became the leader of the defense. And so it was surprising to see this. People said that the fact that Inter was proposing a big salary to him make him, react like that. We're gonna see what happens. But yes, still 3 years of contract. I think it's didn't like that. But luckily, there's no Milinkovic Savic leaving. There's no the shirt of Luis Alberto has a Sevilla logo and things like that this year. So
Yeah, forgot about that one.
Ciro Immobile wants to go back to Napoli and things like that. So
Yeah.
this is an improvement. Even though I have to say, I was waiting for the Champions League, and we've been waiting 30 years. And I was convinced that finally, when Lazio reached the Champions League, we're gonna have a terrific transfer market, and it didn't happen. Murici, yes, 18 millions, 20 millions. Fares, 8 millions. We didn't sell pretty much nobody. So there's a lot of money gone there. I was hoping a little bit better. We're gonna see. There's still plenty of time, but I have to be honest. I was hoping something better.
Well, you never know. You never know. There's a little bit of time left.
Yeah.
I don't know. What else do we need to cover?
Well, I think
Prediction.
Well, we said it right. I think, especially with the Champions League, I think Lazio can fight for the fourth position. I know that there are some Facebook pages that say that this team is a Scudetto team, a Scudetto contender. No, anything can happen. Leicester won the Premier League, but wasn't a team that could fight for the title. So anything can happen. I don't think this team, especially with the Champions League, is a Scudetto contender. I think we can fight for the fourth place, and then it depends. If Pirlo is a complete failure, then a spot is free. If Inter play badly, etc. But I think fourth place it's the position for Lazio. I don't think Roma is a better team or Milan, but they won't have the Champions League, and this could make a big difference.
So you think Lazio will finish
fourth or fifth? That's where we're gonna fight.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I predicted last season Lazio would finish fourth. but this season I don't know. I'm a bit conflicted because I feel like Lazio are going to get a bit worse in the league this year. What with the circumstances of COVID and the empty stadiums and the small squad in the Champions League and the lack of really eye-catching signings. But at the same time, I'm not seeing massive improvement around us. I'm seeing a bit of improvement. I think Atalanta, Inter, Juve, I think they're all finishing ahead of us. And then below that, it's really hard to split the teams. I feel like Roma are going to have quite a bad season, actually. There's a lot of chaos going on at that club despite the takeover, and their squad's not looking very good. So I would kind of fancy us finishing ahead of them, but I feel like we might end up down in 6th.
6th already?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I hope I'm wrong.
we all do.
But yeah, I mean, if that comes with like a Champions League quarter-final, then
that would be great.
take it,
Yeah, absolutely. all the time. Guys, thank you very much for listening to this new type of episode, new season coming, and we hope there wasn't too much noise. It's Rome, so it's everywhere is noisy, but this is the new type of show we're gonna try to produce. I still have to find a better microphone, but I'm just unpacking. I just arrived in Rome, so next episode will be better. But let us know in the comments or on a social platform. You can find us on Twitter, on Facebook, what you think about that. And if you want to support the channel, remember we are on Patreon, patreon.com/Lazio Lounge. Subscriptions start at $2 a month. And subscribe and rate us on iTunes, Spotify, and Spreaker. And we're going to talk next week. Bye.